Bitcoin. That was briefly falling below $100,000 for the first time since May. Mackenzie Sigalos is here. She's got more on the move. Hi, Mac.
Hey, Morgan. So that's right. Bitcoin was trading below that key $99,000 threshold today, its lowest level in over a month after President Trump confirmed that U.S. bombers struck 3 of Iran's nuclear sites over the weekend. Now, those strikes sparked a wave of risk aversion across crypto. At its worst point today, Ether was down more than 10%, with Solana, XRP, and Dogecoin also sliding, dragging the entire market deep into the red. Digital assets are starting to come off those lows now, but the sell-off reflects part geopolitical shock and part inflation fear. If Iran moves to block the Strait of Hormuz, a critical oil route handling 20% of global supply, JP Morgan is warning that oil could spike to $130 a barrel. Now, one closely followed macro research firm says that kind of shock could drive U.S. inflation back toward 5%, which is a level that we haven't seen since the Fed was still hiking in early 2023. And that outlook has traders bracing for potentially higher rates again, which is bad news for risk assets like Bitcoin. And the market was clearly over-leveraged here. At its peak, CoinGlass data showed more than $1 billion in crypto positions were liquidated over the past 24 hours, more than 95% coming from bullish long. So right now, Bitcoin is looking less like digital gold and a lot more like just another risk trade. Guys?
Well, quickly, Mackenzie, because like everything else, and I've read a bunch of reports that have come out today, I'm sure that Morgan and you have and Contessa Brewer has and everybody's guessing right now. I want to make that extremely clear. We're going on what we know, which is potentially this lack of more escalation. But again, the ball's in Tehran's court. We don't know. So everything we're saying about Bitcoin and oil and everything else is just based on what has happened, not what might happen.
Well, you're looking at crypto markets, which are the first to really digest this news. And so you saw this surge in trading volume on offshore derivatives exchanges like Bybit and Binance, which is pretty classic. You're seeing a lot of these liquidations of the more bullish positions. And also, you had institutional demand really, come down at the end of last week. Monday to Wednesday, institutional flows into those spot Bitcoin ETFs were around $1 billion collectively. Thursday and Friday, it totally flatlined, which dovetailed with the president saying he needed this 2-week window to consider what was next with Iran, which reflects the fact that this is really about basic risk aversion going into the weekend and institutions wanting to play it safe.
The Iranians have responded saying all options are on the table about a possible response to the U.S. strikes overnight. And the country's foreign minister releasing a statement saying, quote, "Last week we were in negotiations with the U.S. when Israel decided to blow up that diplomacy. This week we held talks with the E3 EU when the U.S. decided to blow up that diplomacy. What conclusion would you draw?"
You target U.S. troops in the region, more U.S. strikes. You go for energy supplies, you potentially drive up the price of oil and make people in the West rethink this action.
Option for Iran would be trying to close the Strait of Hormuz. About a fifth of the world's oil passes through this area. It's a very small strip of the sea between Iran and Oman. And if that were to take place, it would significantly escalate tensions across the region. I spoke earlier today with Israel's former defense minister, Yoav Gallant, and he said that any sort of Iranian response to the U.S. strikes against nuclear facilities overnight would be a grave mistake. John?
Well, as Brent Sadler was pointing out, the last time that Iran tried to close the Straits of Hormuz, Ronald Reagan sunk their navy. Expect that Donald Trump might do something similar.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you join the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. Also, go like and follow the TikTok. More videos to come. And we had Bitcoin and crypto get a decent pullback on news that we know shouldn't have any effect on crypto. And that's the drums are beaten. But we know these markets are ran by an algorithm. And we have stocks pulling back slightly, but we know stocks should be pulling back in a big way because we have oil prices moving on up, which is going to cause inflation. And now since Trump added the U.S. and the drums are beaten, we know there's going to be retaliation. And guys, what does this open the door up for? That's right, technology. These cyber wars. Plenty of hacks. And they'll be able to string this along until September when we have to refinance this debt. Remember, guys, all they need is that crisis in order to bring in the fourth industrial revolution, where the robots, algorithms, and drones take the economy over, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
There are three key risk areas that we have to focus on. Obviously, the Strait of Hormuz on the upper right, just below Iran, that is the main one. But there's also the Bab al-Mandeb Strait, which is right across the bay from Yemen. And of course, the Suez Canal. Areas where a lot of tankers, a lot of oil, all kind of congregate in a relatively narrow areas. Those are three areas of the world that S&P and others say you need to focus on. Now, why isn't the price of oil moving up more?
Iran is the president of OPEC this year. It's a rotating presidency. The presidency of OPEC, and by the way, the Secretary General was in Russia this weekend.
In a St. Petersburg forum, a lot of people were there.
A lot of people were there, no doubt. This was a topic of conversation. And Steve Leisman, you know, there's going to be a lot of conversation about energy prices, Strait of Hormuz. Any day I think you can learn something is a good day. I learned today, I did not know this, the Strait of Hormuz has never, ever been closed. It's been mined, it's been bombed, there's been drones. It's never been, quote, shut down. I would imagine the Federal Reserve is getting some pretty big lessons in energy and inflation right now.
Yeah, they wrote a book about how the Fed should respond to oil prices. They wrote that in this after the 70s. The trouble is, as Halima was talking about, as you've talked about, Brian, all of the facts on the ground have changed. Iran is a much weaker entity right now in terms of its ability to spread chaos throughout the region. I would just say that, I'm sorry, but going back to my time in the 90s in Russia, America has a very poor track record of trying to create other countries in our image. And I think we're pretty good at breaking things up, not so good at putting them back together. And so I think David Zervos was right. There is perhaps some chance that things end up better than they were. But I think the market might be trading more on status quo, in my opinion, or the possibility, some downside possibilities here. But the idea of the weakened Iran is probably a big part of the market trade right now.
We're back with a Fox News alert. U.S. military bases in the Middle East remain vigilant after Iran threatened to retaliate after yesterday's strikes.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. look, we have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting at more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a Treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books, is time to re-educate. Also, if new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance, do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Team save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Team save New York from COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Team goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.